So I've been streaming on Twitch for the past couple weeks. I used to stream a while back, but I kind of stopped because I was doing a bit of hack the box content or security engineering content, and I really wanted to focus on software engineering content. I'm also trying to do something where I build my full stack application that I've been building for a few clients to build infrastructure as code to create cloud infrastructure on demand. I know it's a bit of a mouthful. I've been thinking of an idea where I'm going to be streaming the entirety of that process from start to finish. Probably do a stream in the morning when I work at a coffee shop for a couple hours, go to my regular job, stream after work, stream at night, things like that. So if you're interested in stuff like that, definitely check out my Twitch link in the description below. But I got a question the other night, and I think it was a really good one. It made me kind of think why I made the career choices that I did and why I moved from software engineering to cloud engineering to back to software engineering. So I hope I can give you guys a little bit of insight into how my mind works and my thought process was on this, and hopefully it can influence you guys in your career in a positive way. So when I first started my career, a lot of you guys know I started off as a software engineer. It was at a small startup, so I was essentially one of two engineers there. So I was doing almost anything you can think of in a software engineering capacity. I was building back-end, front-end, graph, API, doing a bit of UI, UX, databases, etc. From there, I got an offer to go work at a company as a cloud security engineer, but I was really just a cloud engineer with a security capacity, right? I was building security solutions as a cloud engineer. That introduced me to infrastructure as code, where I'm no longer working through the GUI to build out cloud security applications or cloud applications. I'm now building code directly against AWS APIs, specifically AWS in my case. But it could be any cloud provider. But I'm building solutions specifically against those APIs, and I get to push them up as code so other people can review them, reuse them, and they can be used in a much more programmatic fashion. So I really got introduced to cloud engineering in a software engineering capacity very early on. I know that's a bit of a handful there, but essentially what I'm trying to convey to you is I really fell in love with the process of building software solutions or building solutions using code. And I really fell out of love with the operational tasks that come along with some cloud engineering jobs. Just as a caveat for this entire video, this is all my opinion. It's based on my experience. That should be obvious because you're on my YouTube channel, so I can't really speak for anyone else. But I just wanted to add that. And this is entirely my experience. If it helps you, I'm glad it helps you. If it doesn't help you, or if you have another opinion on it, that's great. I hope something I say can influence you in a positive way so you can make good career decisions. But my next job after that, I went to work for a government contracting company where we were assisting government clients. I was a cloud engineer there as well. I was in much more of a software engineering capacity as I would explain it. So for example, when tickets came in, if there was one that needed a solution built, whether it was a full stack application built to solve a problem for a government client, or it was to write infrastructure as code to solve a problem for a government client, I was usually the one that they gave those kinds of tasks to because I had a propensity for writing code, whereas a lot of the other people on my team were highly skilled, but they were more sysadmin types. So I got a lot of exposure to the inverse side of cloud engineering that I really didn't enjoy, which was a lot of the operational tasks of spinning up EC2 configurations, spinning up permissions, creating IAM users, and a lot of the operational day-to-day responsibilities that you might see as a cloud engineer, specifically a cloud engineer that's working with contract clients, or you have many different clients that you're working with, and you're going to be maintaining their AWS or their Azure or their Google Cloud infrastructure. You're not so much building the infrastructure as code as you would think you are as an engineer. You're kind of doing the operational or day-to-day tasks that one would need to keep up the maintenance in a cloud environment. So this is kind of when I fell out of love with cloud engineering. My company did a really good job at the time of giving me heavy software engineering tasks where I would go in and build infrastructure as code or build full stack applications to solve problems. And they would even give me tasks internally where I would be doing internal reporting, querying multiple APIs, distributing them on a dashboard, displaying them, building a bit of a UI UX situation around those. But it came to a point where I was still a cloud engineer and I still sometimes had to do those operational duties that I really didn't enjoy. So that's what really pushed me to look for a job as a software engineer again, because I saw the market coming full circle where software engineers were now looked at as full stack engineers. And as a full stack engineer, you'd be working with the back end, the front end, the graph API, or just APIs in general. You'd be doing a bit of database. And in turn, you'd be doing a bit of cloud engineering work as well. A lot of times in the fields that we're in now, they're not going to hire, unless you're at a big company, FANG company, or just a large company in general, they're not going to hire a cloud engineer that's separate from a front end engineer, that's separate from a back end engineer. For better or worse, you kind of have to fill all those roles together. I personally think that's a really cool thing. At least I do right now, because I'm learning so much. I'm honing my skills as an engineer, as a full stack engineer, and I'm really learning and sharpening my abilities in so many different areas. So I decided to leave my cloud engineering role because I really didn't like the 50% operational work that was happening as a cloud engineer. And I really wanted to go back to that heads down, writing code, solving problems, and building beautiful user solutions for customers, both internal and external. So now that you have a general sense of my motivation as to why I went from cloud engineering back to software engineering, I want to give you some granular points that I really find very helpful. But I also find that cloud engineering and software engineering differ greatly on these kinds of things. So in cloud engineering, you could be writing code, you could be building Lambdas, you could be writing infrastructure as code. But in software engineering, you're definitely doing those things. You're building code every single day. You're writing code every single day. You're building applications every single day. You're working with different APIs every single day. You're writing SDKs around those APIs every single day. And every day, you're doing something that has to involve you writing a programmatic solution to a customer problem, whether that's someone that is on another team. I would consider that an internal customer, or an external customer, someone that's a user of the platform that you're working on. I find this super, super fun because you're working on something different every single day. You're working with different languages every single day. You're working with different microservices every single day. But at the same time, you're also, if you're in a cloud environment, which most fast-moving agile companies are nowadays, you're going to still be doing the same amount of cloud engineering work that you were doing previously, except now instead of the other 50% of your duties being operational, creating users, blah, 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 you're now using that time to build software. You're writing code. Now, as I said in the beginning, this is going to differ greatly based on the company. This is just my experience, and I have 3 companies worth of experience that I have had to do something like this with. But it is my experience that when you join a software team, you're going to be surrounded by other software engineers who are much better or much more proficient at specific technologies than you are. So as someone coming in as a mid-level engineer, or even like a lead engineer like myself, I'm learning so much from other engineers. There's so many smart people around me. And that's not to say that there's not smart people in cloud engineering. There absolutely are, building beautiful solutions. It just seems that in software engineering, if you have a propensity, if your desire is to write code, going to a software engineering job title is going to be the thing that propels you to writing better code. Whereas if you're trying to become a cloud engineer, you're going to be surrounded by people that are building solutions in the cloud that are going to be solving real world customer issues, but there's not going to be always an emphasis in writing code. Now, that's not to say that you're not going to be building one-off Lambdas. You're not going to be working with Azure functions, things like that. There's going to be a staunch difference in the way that cloud engineers treat their code, their CI/CD pipelines when it comes to code, their building actions, their GitHub actions, their tests, etc., and the architecture by which they build that code base, than someone that's in software engineering building on a platform team. One anecdotal example I can give you is when I was working as a cloud engineer, I had a few cloud engineers around me who were more like sysadmins. That's just what their propensity was for. They were really involved in writing Linux terminal commands, setting up EC2 servers configurations, and other things like that. And I was the only engineer on that team that was actually writing code. So when I went to PR my code, it could have been the most abominable code of all time, but as long as it ran and it didn't break some of the menial build tests that we actually had, it got pushed right into production. Whereas in the company I'm at now, and the one that I was at previously when I was a software engineer, I'm surrounded by senior engineers, by people who have been writing code for a very, very long time, and that's what their entire focus is on. So the tests and PR reviews that we're doing are much more stringent, and I'm getting so much more out of the reviews that I'm actually getting on my PRs. Now, I'm not saying that this wouldn't be happening in a cloud engineering team. It most certainly would be. I'm not saying people are not reviewing Lambda code. I'm not saying people aren't reviewing infrastructure as code. But I just think in general, when you're going to become a software engineer or you're going to be on a software engineering team, the bottom line is, can you write code? Does this code work? Is this code scalable? And does this code compile and fit the architecture system that we've built around it? As cloud engineers, specifically when I was working the way I wasn't a contractor per se, but I was working for a company that contracted itself to different clients. So I was managing different clients' tickets. No one was looking at the code that I was writing. No one was reviewing the code that I was writing for the most part, aside from very basic checks on the end of it before it was pushed to production. And I find that the problems that I'm solving and the people that I'm surrounded by as a software engineer are propelling me to be much more of a sound engineer than I was previously. So I'm not sure if this helps you. This is definitely just my journey. I understand a lot of people are going to have a lot of different opinions on cloud engineering versus software engineering. These are just my experiences as I've gone through being a software engineer to a cloud engineer to a software engineer. If you wanted my perfect, timeline for what you should do in your career path or what I'm going to do in my career path. So I started as a software engineer. I learned the foundational basics of writing code, building applications, and getting things hosted as fast as I could. Then I went into being a cloud engineer so I could see how to properly utilize a cloud environment, specifically with AWS, whether it's monitoring and logging, expense reports, building IAM users, being as granular as possible with permissions, writing infrastructure as code, and building scalable applications in the cloud. Then I went back to being a software engineer where I'm going to now hone my skills as a programmer and become much more of an architect of my code than I was before. And then my goal is to go into business for myself, building beautiful cloud solutions and software solutions for other people. So I'm trying to marry the best of both worlds. I'm trying to bring them both together so I have the expertise of both a senior cloud engineer and a senior software engineer. I know job titles can be a little misleading. That's kind of just a metaphor for I'm trying to write beautiful cloud solutions and I'm trying to marry them with beautiful software solutions. Again, this is just my journey, just my opinion. But if you guys are going through something similar, definitely leave a comment down in the comment section below or hit me up on Discord if you guys have any questions about my journey and how it can help you or how it pertains to your journey. I'm always open for a chat in the YouTube comments if you're up for it. And I am live streaming every Monday and Wednesday starting September 14th after I get back from a little bit of vacation. So if you guys have any comments, any concerns, or any questions you want answered, definitely reach out to me on one of my social medias or one of my streaming platforms that I just listed out below. And I'm really looking forward to hearing you guys' feedback. I'll see you guys in the next video.